Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, this is Boisterous, coming to you with some Diamond League destruction on the Boisterous Plateau. Down here in the bottom right hand corner we have KarMAzasz spawning in as the red Zerg, and up here in the top left hand corner we have his opponent CarrierRush spawning in as the blue Protoss. And also being extremely blunt with his name about what he likes to do. CarrierRush. That is not well veiled. Anyway, I think the next game I'm going to do is going to be a Team League Tenacity, because I haven't done any of those in a while. So if any of you guys want your 1v1 games to be casted, I'm sorry, it's not going to be on Saturday, because I need to do a Team League Tenacity, because I don't think I've done one in like a month. Mainly because people have just been sending me in a lot of 1v1 replays, and I try to get at least an amount of variety on my channel, in both League and in the format of game casted. Anyway, we have CarrierRush going for a Forge Fast Expand, which of course very typical on Boisterous Plateau, especially against Zerg, because you know it's amazingly easy to secure, and I think I've ranted on that 15,000 times before at this point. Yeah, and it looks like KarMAzasz is going for a scout. Going to be scouting just right across the map because he has his Overlord already checking out the bottom left-hand base, so if there is somebody there, he'll know it as soon as possible. However, CarrierRush getting that Forge down already, so this drone is going to scout it as the Forge is going up, so he will know about the Forge FE, hopefully in time to drop a hatchery just really fast. However, he's going for an Extractor, which is kind of interesting because you typically don't see a whole lot of busts on this map. It's not exactly the easiest map to bust on. It's not the hardest, but you know, it's kind of an awkward one. Interestingly, with CarrierRush going for the extremely safe play, probably because he doesn't see any expansion, so he is going to be dropping down that photon cannon, making sure that nothing, no 6 Zerglings come just sprinting up his ramp real soon. And it looks like KarMAzasz actually isn't really supply blocking himself a bit there, kind of an issue. Usually you want to stop at 16 drones and make your Overlord next, and then you can create a Queen, and actually another little tiny blunder. Never mind, no blunder. I clicked on the wrong egg twice in a row. Whoops. We have CarrierRush finally getting his Nexus up, and I'm guessing he's going to be going for a hatchery fairly soon, because that would be the smart play. Yeah, I don't know what his plan is right now. His drone is coming down to build a hatchery, so he is going to be building a hatchery. However, this hatchery is extremely delayed. He's actually going for a double expand, so that is definitely the play to be going for right now. I'm hoping you guys can't hear people yelling in the background, because people are yelling in the background right now. Yeah, so if you hear that, just ignore it. It's nothing major. We have the natural and the third hatchery. They're going to be wrapping up way after this Nexus. So our Protoss player is actually going to get an extremely significant economic lead. However, he's astronomically far behind in tech, dropping down 2 gateways right now. He's probably going to cancel the second one and replace it with a cybernetics core. At least that's what I would imagine he would do at this point. But no, he's just going to finish off that second gateway. Kind of interesting. Not the best thing in the world, because he's really far behind on tech right now. I don't know, but I guess he's not astronomically far behind on tech, but he's not anywhere near where he wants to be. Usually you want to go like Forge and then even squeeze in the gateway before the first cannon after that Nexus. However, he went for an extremely safe play, which I'm not sure how I feel about that, because basically it allows the Zerg player to go for the third hatchery without any issues arising from it at all. We also have our Zerg player going for a Roach Warren, so we might see a 3-base Roach play, trying to bust down this wall, which would make perfect sense, because Roaches are basically like the unit that you want if you need to break down a wall like this. They're pretty good at it. They can take a lot of hits from a photon cannon. They can deal a lot of damage to photon cannons. And unless your opponent can get a reasonable sentries out to completely wall off this ramp, typically you should be able to take the early advantage in a game like this if you manage to go for Roaches And yeah, he's going just for super econ right now. And people are just making random noises in the background right now. I think people here are trying to screw with me. Well, there goes my train of thought. Nah, I'll catch it eventually. Anyway, we have our 3 zealots moving out across the map. Gonna go do some scouting. The Zergling does manage to see them coming, so he's gonna switch over to the bottom tower just to check out and make sure that he knows exactly where they're going. And these zealots are going to see the creep expanding out from the 3rd. So they do know about the 3rd base, and they now know about the roaches too, which is actually a really nice scout for a Protoss player. He has 2 Stargates finishing up. Because, you know what tech you go against Zerg? You go Stargate tech. Because you know what unit sucks in the Zerg composition? Hydralisks. Hey, so you know what unit you want Zerg to have to go? Definitely the Hydralisk. We have KarMAzasz just starting his lair right now. Which actually, I guess he didn't know this was coming, but you know, you want to get that lair out as really ASAP. Even if you're going for roaches or anything like that, the roach speed buff of course requires the lair. Really any useful tech requires lair, to be quite perfectly honest, other than Zergling speed. And I think he does have Zergling speed, right? Yeah, he has Zergling speed. That would be the full move, is if he didn't have Zergling speed. We only have 2 extractors extracting at full velocity right now, which is kind of a low amount for Zerg. I mean, I guess I can understand because he doesn't need a whole lot of gas to go for roaches, and he is finally dropping down all of his extractors on his other bases, so he's going to start getting those gases a lot faster. However, he's still bulking up on roaches like a madman. Lots and lots of roaches popping out, along with a couple drones, but right now it seems like his production is mainly in the roaches camp, which of course is not going to help when these 4 void rays come knocking down his door. And the Zergling pops up, it's not going to see anything. We have 3 sentries accumulating energy actually. That's a pretty good play, because this is 5 force fields right now, and probably by the time the Zerg gets to attack, it'll be up around the 8 mark, and 8 force fields can hold that ramp for a long time, because I'm pretty sure you can block it off with 2 force fields, if you place them perfectly, which of course not a whole lot of people do, so it might need 3. However, if you do manage to get those 2 force fields placed down, you're going to be blocking that ramp for, you know, a full minute-ish. And it looks like we have the hatchery getting knocked down. Just ignoring the hatchery and actually going for drone kills, which I guess I agree with it a little bit. I could really see this going either way. I would like to see him use his void rays to charge up on the hatchery at least, and then go over to sniping off drones, because it's just more effective. However, it works. 7 spore crawlers are on their way. The Hydralisk den is now coming. However, if he can manage to get in here and snipe off enough overlords, he might just straight up win the game, because really you need food to make Hydralisks. So if you can snipe off enough of your opponent's food and kind of choke his Hydralisk numbers out, then you're set. And he's actually managed to do that. There are no Hydralisks spawning in at this point. So if he can manage to snipe off enough of these overlords and just swing him with a Protoss army, he's not going to do it. He's not going to manage it. It's all good. Don't worry. However, yeah, I think people really underestimate the power of killing overlords. It's as if you just found a giant pile of like 17 unguarded pylons. If you kill those pylons, your Protoss opponent is screwed. He's dead. Like, you just kill those pylons, and in half a minute you attack with your next warping of units or whatever, and you win the game. Your opponent just doesn't come back easily from that. We have actually pretty nice force fields. Not the greatest, because, you know, he could just pin him at the bottom of the ramp and then use these void rays to clean him up. However, they weren't good, they weren't bad. They were kind of just the average things. We also, interestingly enough, have carriers. So, CarrierRush, living up to his name. The 13-minute carrier, of course, is a fairly rapid carrier. Mainly because you see people go for a lot of Colossi, usually, before it. But apparently CarrierRush is freaking crazy. So, yeah, he's going for carriers. Double starport carrier, that is, actually. And because carriers cost a lot of food, he's just dropping pylons everywhere. We have his 4 Void Rays moving out onto the bulk of the map again, but a massive Hydralisk count is probably going to keep them right in their spot. As these Hydralisks might actually swing around the back of these Void Rays, and these Void Rays are going to be running away really fast. I bet he wished he still had that Void Ray speed. God, Flexbane capacitors. Those things were so unfair. I think they were called Flexbane capacitors. There was a Void Ray speed boost, I'm almost sure. I think, at least during beta. And it was like one of the most overpowered things ever. Because your Void Rays just booked it everywhere and killed everything. Yeah. The Nexus is getting sniped. Not really, the Nexus is just getting scattered by the Zerglings. But I am over dramatic as always. So we have the Hydralisks facing off against this Protoss army and actually getting absolutely cleaned up by the Air Force. Like, literally absolutely destroyed. Yeah, that's game. I hate to call it this early, but losing that many Hydralisks because you don't have any Roaches and you don't have enough Zerglings, that's kind of game over. You don't come back from that. I'm actually surprised they didn't go for the run by into the main with the Zerglings, because there's no sentries, there's anything defending this base. It would have at least forced some of the Protoss units to go back to deal with that or lose all of his workers, which of course is a great situation for the Zerg player. However, with the third base just wrapping up and the 4th base coming up for a Protoss player, he is just really turning on the heat and just wheeling ahead of his Zerg opponent. And really, I think the Zerg just needed more units before he did that attack. I think he should have expanded again and just played defensively, because Protoss Air is pretty good at defending its own territory, especially if you can get good force fields. Just because almost every angle is good for an air army, because you don't really need that. You don't really need an arch for an air army, or an arc, I mean, for an air army, because air armies can stack up on top of each other and they don't care. And yeah, it was not a favorable position for the Zerg to fight on anyway. And the fact that he kept going even after most of his units got force fields kind of sealed the deal for him. And it would look like he is getting cleaned up right now. Yeah. So, and the Protoss is like, I sniped his base and he didn't fight back. That is strange. Time to run, as my computer lags slightly. There's massive Zealot warp-ins, even though these are non-charged Zealots, which is kind of interesting. We have +1 attacks on the air, +000 for the ground, so no major upgrade plays. It was really just this CarrierRush that was kind of ridiculous. I'm actually surprised this worked that well, because carriers are just a unit that is extremely underused, because so many other units perform what they should do a lot better. And you know, carriers are great support units, because I personally feel they're harder to snipe than Colossi, because Colossi are slow moving and they don't really, I just feel they get sniped easy. I might be completely wrong there, and it might just be because I watch a lot of games end when a Protoss's Colossi get sniped, but you very rarely actually see carriers get sniped. But anyway, KarMAzasz GG's out of the game, and yeah, you can send in any replays you want commentated into boisteroussc2@gmail.com. You can of course post in my Battle.net thread with any feedback you have about my channel. And also remember to subscribe to my channel to reach those milestones and maybe get some fun events for anyone that follows me. And remember to tune back in to youtube.com/user/boisteroussc2 every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday for some awesome StarCraft 2 action. Anyway guys, this is Boisterous, signing out.